Yeah.
Hello again. I'm Bill Russell, President of Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce. We have another episode of Around the Lake, and today we have David Dowdy, Action Coach. And David, we go back. I'm trying to remember, was it the 2016 or 2017 Business Expo at Davidson College that you were involved in?
Yeah, that's about the right time. I've been in the Action Coach world here in this role for 9 years now. So
Yeah.
That's probably about right.
Explain to folks, I know what you do because you have a storied history with us putting on programs. And sometimes when I need a go-to coach to teach something, I reach out to David Dowdy, and you've been so gracious with your time investing back into the Chamber of Commerce. But explain, what is Action Coach and what are some of the things that you do as a coach to small business and corporate folks?
Okay. Well, yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to be here and do that. And it's always fun to be a part of the chamber and be a resource there. You guys do such a great job. But you know how small business owners are out there hustling, they're working hard to get it done and have a hard time, many cases, finding the profits or kind of maintaining their life balance and that kind of thing. What I get to do is come alongside of them and bring the business strategy and principles, to help them make more money and get their life back. And the overall principle is the business that we own should support the life that we want to live. It's not our life, but you've probably dealt with, man, I'm gonna go into business for myself and I'm gonna make a ton of money and I'm gonna have all the free time in the world. And it's just not the way that it plays out in most cases. So I get to come alongside, and my real purpose is to provide hope and encouragement for those business owners. And that hope comes by way of some structure and some discipline in applying some proven, processes and principles and even the practices that we go into. So
David, before you were a coach, what's your background that led you into this role?
Oh man, it goes way back. Grew up in small business. Dad had his own business, and one of the keys was when he went to sell it. It was a painful experience in that he spent his whole life in this business working 6 days a week and 11-hour days. And when he sold it, there really wasn't that much there. And it's because it all centered around him. So, going back, I've got a BS in chemistry and MBA, all that stuff's kind of fun and great to talk about. But the reality is that it prepared me conceptually of some things, but real boots on the ground experiences I didn't get to later in life. So bunch of years in chemical sales, riding up and down the road, doing some technical sales. And then I got my general contractor's license in 2000 and built houses around the lake. I had my own construction company and ended up buying the plumbing company that was doing the work for me. But, like many strategies, they're great strategies, but sometimes timing's not right. So I gave up the 6-figure sales job and got into construction full time in 2006. Great strategy to build houses, people making good money, but the timing of the strategy, not so good. So 7, 8, 9, cleaned my clock, lost everything, and went back into the workforce, but got blindsided, laid off. I was placing product into Lowe's and doing some bedding sales and whatnot internationally. And because of some things outside of my control, what I was touching was working well, but the parent company hit some hard times and went into survival mode. So I found myself laid off. And through a few months of hard times there, Action Coach found me, and it was just a perfect fit from my small business experience personally and working in small business the majority of my life. And so just get to marry the two together. And Action Coach is a global company, 29 years this past summer, and 1,000 offices around the world. So the process works. I just get excited about being able to use the tools that they provide and apply it right here in the Lake Norman market to help business owners just get it done.
David, you said something in a seminar you put on for the Chamber of Commerce maybe a year or two ago, and it had a profound impact on me. As a Chamber of Commerce, we try to be everything to that business owner. We try to do all of these various programs, and sometimes you have to fine tune what it is you do really best. And you told the story how you were reaching out to all of these various clients, and it spread you out pretty thin. And you have a coach yourself. You have a mentor. Yeah, you got people that you look to who advised you, okay, maybe you need to fine tune a little bit and narrow that focus. And you saw your revenues go up. Explain that process, because again, that really, really hit me. And I realized this chamber can't be everything. We got to do what we do really well and leave some of those other things. Share what you were telling us.
Yeah, and boy, that's a tough pill to swallow when you think about it, because especially as we're coming out of the gates in small business, we want to be all things to all people. And to some degree, you need to do that to generate revenue and gain, get those reps in, understand what your sweet spot is. But at some point, it just makes sense to start narrowing the focus. It's a global marketplace now, and the marketplace really wants to know what your niche is. You can't be all things to all people. And so what I learned was that, even recently I saw the statistics that 87.5% of people, small businesses, are 4 employees or less. It's 4 employees or less out of the 30.2 million businesses in this country. A huge number of businesses are relatively small, only have a handful of employees. And so they're limited as to what they can do, right? But, and it gets confusing when we're all things to all people. So what I work with business owners on is really identifying what is that niche. And in my own world, I was really focused on sort of one product, one service, one-to-one coaching at a certain level, and trying to fit everybody into that. And the reality is not every business owner is ready from a mindset standpoint or from a budget standpoint, time or money. And so over the 9 years I've been doing this, it sort of broke it into several target markets and creating a product ladder that works for each of those target markets. For example, the startups up to about 300,000 in revenue, and then sort of another slot is 300 to $1 million in revenue, and then $1 million plus. And the sweet spot, for me, is up to 2 or 3 million. I've got some that are 5 or 15 million kind of thing. But the sweet spot is a few 100,000 up to about $1 million, because you can have huge impact for that. But when you dial in exactly what that mindset is, or that portion of the market, it allows other business owners to really fine tune the messaging, the wording, the imagery that goes along with that. Because those folks are experiencing different pains, perhaps, and opportunities than the ones on the lower end or the upper end. But to identify what your sweet spot is, I can go on and on. I get my clients together once a quarter for a community event. You do so many things at the chamber to bring the community together, because there's so much horsepower in the room to be able to rub elbows with other people that are kind of out there struggling just like we are. One of the ladies, this was her first time at my quarterly event as a relatively new client. And I asked at the end of the day, what's your key takeaway? And she kind of leaned around and to the group said, it is so refreshing to know that I'm not the only one thinking what I'm thinking and dealing with what I'm dealing. We're all dealing with the same thing. But one of the messages about our marketing is, afterwards we went to the gun range over there and had some fun as a bunch of us went over and started shooting. And we started out with this one target, and we had a little competition as to, who could hit the center of the target and score and stuff. But it was one target. But I think to what you were referring to a little bit is they also had this other sheet we could hang up on there and extend out and shoot at, and it had 6 targets. So intentionally, you can break your market into subsets and then market specifically to this segment and a different message to this segment and to another segment. But it's not all things to all people, because then
right
in the messaging, it's like, it's not direct enough. But if that makes sense or sort of addresses that question, to dial in exactly what sandbox you're playing in and know it, let the marketplace know, and it'll resonate with them and they'll engage. Absolutely.
That's great advice. David, you got an exciting announcement yourself. You guys are making some changes at ActionCOACH. Share with us a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a few things going on as we've continued to grow and see what the opportunity here is in this marketplace. Frankly, had a good run at it, figured it out. I'm a small business owner too, so that's why I've got a business coach for my business, and I also have a mindset coach that I meet with every week. And And what it's done is help me to dial into what is my place, what can I offer the marketplace. And as a result, last year I brought on a full-time business development manager, and that's a huge investment, to step out in that regard instead of being a one person operation. Looking to add another coach by the end of the year, going through some interview processes now to do that. And that's to deliver the benefits that coaching offers. But what is it that we do offer? There's some additions that we've added as far as business valuations go, some new group coaching platforms that will be available to every revenue, business maturity, time for anybody, but they'll be segmented and grouped based on similar size and maturity of businesses, to put that together. And so continuing to add assessments or other products to this. We're intentionally, with the help of the chamber and feedback of other business owners, what is the gap? Right now, you already mentioned marketing. The other aspect is employees, not just finding them, but doing what we can to engage employees and retain the good employees. So doing work in that regard as far as some team building and that bonding to improve engagement of employees. No sense in continuing to recruit and hire if they're leaving as quickly as we're bringing in, right? So,
who is that client that you're looking for? What business can best be served by Action Coach?
It's broad stroke of the brush. It's about 1 in 10 business owners, and the characteristic of that individual is an owner that is ambitious and committed to growth, and also listen for signals, watch for signals that they're a lifelong learner. So the other end of the spectrum is one of those guys that knows it all, already been there, done that, can't teach him anything. And that's fine. It's my firm belief that most people can survive in business. They can figure out a way to make a living. What I'm looking for is those that are looking to have a bigger impact, to grow their business, to have bigger influence on families and support that lifestyle without that burden and stress that often goes along with it. So, those that are ambitious and willing to, invest in themselves. And some of those indicators, you can probably imagine, looking for people that may have some athletic background. They've worked with a physical coach or played on a team. They understand a game plan. They understand outside influence. They understand the discipline and the work that goes into it to get great results. Sometimes it's educators that appreciate being a sponge, listening, learning. Are they coming to Business Works? Do they come to webinars or workshops? Do they listen to podcasts? Are they watching these videos of other business owners and what's going on in the marketplace to expand themselves? Those are all good indicators. But bottom line, it is a business owner that is in that a few $100,000 up to $1 million, couple million in revenue, that is ambitious and really wants to learn and knows that they can do it on their own, but also recognizes they shouldn't. Yeah. They can get there a lot quicker with less collateral damage if they
David, we opened up and shared that I met you at the Expo years ago. We haven't been able to have the Expo since 2019 because of the pandemic, but you guys are a bronze sponsor this year. It's taking place Tuesday, October the 11th. Yep. Why is a trade show, whether it's our Expo coming up or any trade show you're in, why is that important that you participate in events like that? What do you get out of a trade show?
Well, it's twofold. One is, let's call it brand awareness. You get that exposure, you're seen in multiple places. That's a lot of what marketing is, being seen in multiple locations, and know that you're available, that you are out there getting it done and participating in the community. Part of it is to give back. The trade show for us is a marketing strategy. And when you look at a trade show, it is a direct strategy where we're eyeball to eyeball with the target market. And not everybody there is a business owner, but they're in business. And for trade shows, it's a high density of the target market. So we can go out and run ads and things TV ads, that's a shotgun. It's just spreading it out to people that it applies to and doesn't apply to. At a small business expo, that's a high density of our target market. So it just makes sense for us to be there and participate. And in years past, it's been very successful, being able to rub elbows with other small business owners that are walking the aisles, but also get there a little bit early or stay a little bit late and talk with the other exhibitors. If they're there, they're ambitious and they're committed. Need I say more? That's exactly what we're looking to hang around with is those kind of folks. It's a fun
David,
experience.
for the folks watching this video that might be small business owners, what's one tip that you can give them today as a small business owner? Today's tip.
I would say, man, there's so many different things, but more than anything now, it's focus. Most small business owners are just overwhelmed. There is so much going on, so much on their plate. And unfortunately, we don't pause enough to kind of digest all of that and even put pen to paper and list it out, but to take of all of the chaos and just pick one or two things to focus on and nail it, finish it all the way through, and then move to the next thing. The majority of your week is going to be fighting fires, but 10-20% of your week, of your day, should be focused on the bigger things that are going to move the needle to make life better in 3 to 6 months. So focus would be one of those main issues.
That's great. You live in Mooresville, right?
That's correct.
What is it that you and your family enjoy most about living in Mooresville and Lake Norman?
Well, we all know it's a great place to live. I actually was born and raised in Greensboro and took a chemical sales job, and moved to South Charlotte off of Highway 51 when I first came to the Charlotte area. And 6 months later, I found myself at the lake because I had to get out of that, and moved to Davidson Landing, as a matter of fact, and then Silver Quay there off of Catawba. I bought townhouse pre-construction there, lived there for a bit. And when Mimi and I got married, we moved to Mooresville to get out of the traffic. And, but she was born and raised in Huntersville, went to North Mac. Her parents were teachers, and Dad was the principal down there. So we've always wanted to stay local around the lake and love it. But man, how awesome is it to be, here we are today. I'm looking out my window here in crystal blue skies. I know the mountains are a couple of hours that way. The coast is a few hours that way, and we take day trips either way. But right around the lake, the school systems are phenomenal. The restaurants are phenomenal, and just having access to get on the water, even if you don't get on the water, we go down by the water and grab some carry out and just sit there and watch the sunset. It's just a great place to be. And everybody that's not from here, I was born and raised in Greensboro in North Carolina, so I'm kind of used to everybody being so friendly. But many of those that are coming from, they're like, oh my gosh, everybody's just so nice. And, so that's why we've chosen to stay here and raise our family here.
Sylvia said that you coached at the WINS meeting the other day, a female networking event that we had. And I think we had 50 women. Kind of must have been overwhelming to have you and 50 women in the room listening to you. Yeah,
it's a little intimidating. There was a time in my life when I thought, man, to be in a room full of this many women, that would be awesome. And I gotta say, I was a little nervous this time, but it was a great time. Great, man, what energy they have, and we laughed and carried on, and it was a good time. And one of those indicators is how long do people stay afterwards chit chatting? That's a great indicator of the community that the chamber is part of, and those ladies are part of, and all the other things we got going on here. So it's kind of neat.
Well, David, we appreciate you and Action Coach for the time that you invest in our chamber programs and being such a vital part of our Chamber of Commerce. And thank you for taking time today to be a part of this program. And Joe Vagnone, who is a presenting sponsor of our program around the lake. But thank you, and thank everybody for watching.
We appreciate it.
Have a great weekend at the lake, Dave.
Thank you, Bill.